Bienvenidos a otro episodio. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another summary and analysis. Bienvenidos a otro resumen y análisis de lo que es el fútbol, de algunas ligas en las cuales vemos, que para esos que están aquí conmigo saben que son la Liga, la Premier y la Serie A, pero esta semana, primeramente, para todos esos que celebran y hacen celebraciones en este tiempo del año, para los que celebran lo que sea que celebran, espero que hayan tenido una buena semana y un buen tiempo en familia, y a la misma vez happy holidays for all of those that celebrate whatever type of holiday or celebration is it that you guys are into or do at this time of the year. But the most beautiful part is that we still have football going on. We still have soccer going on. Todavía tenemos el fútbol, aunque fue una semana de festividades. Aún así tuvimos lo que es el fútbol en algunas de las ligas. Las ligas que tuvimos fútbol fueron la Premier y la Serie A, primeramente. Esas dos ligas nos dieron fútbol, y para todo aquel fanático del fútbol se siente muy bien que hemos tenido fútbol. A veces cuando tienes festividades así, tienes vacaciones, para aquellos que son muy que tienen ese poder de tener vacaciones en este tiempo, porque algunos de nosotros tenemos que trabajar. Pero para esos que tienen la oportunidad y se les da, que tienen tiempo para poder ver fútbol, todo fanático aquel que ve fútbol, estas dos ligas, lo que es la Premier y la Serie A, tuvieron fútbol. Primeramente, otra vez, esto es pase ambidiestro, ambidextrous pass, fútbol honestamente, soccer football honestly. Y lo que es la Premier y la Serie A tuvieron fútbol esta semana, este fin de semana que pasó, tuvieron fútbol. La liga no tuvo fútbol. La liga vuelve y va a resumir en lo que es al principio de enero del 2026, que está literalmente a 3 días. Para esas ligas que nos dan fútbol, nos mantienen entretenidos, es algo bello. Y para todo fanático de fútbol, siempre va a querer ver más fútbol. Pero eso es lo que es. Y estas dos ligas nos han dado fútbol este fin de semana. No tenemos fútbol aparte de lo que es Sí, hay muchas ligas alrededor del mundo que todavía están jugando. También tenemos lo que es la competición AFCON, la Copa Africana, que se está jugando también. Y muchos buenos países, muchos buenos futbolistas en esa copa de ese continente. Algo que sí salen muy buenos jugadores de esa área, de ese continente específicamente. Pero nos vamos a enfocar hoy otra vez en lo que es el resumen y análisis de la Premier, que está en la jornada 18, y la Serie A, que está en la jornada 17. We're going back and we're going to focus on Premier League, that is on match day 18, and Serie A, that is on match day 17. And yes, we do have a lot other leagues going on around this time of the year, but one of the main competitions that is going on is the AFCON, where a lot of talent comes out of, and a lot of great players, current players that are playing like in La Serie A, or playing in Premier League, or even playing La Liga, or even playing in Bundesliga, or even League One, any league in Europe. They have to currently leave their clubs. For those that are lucky enough to be picked and part of the roster to represent their country in the AFCON, in the competition of nations of the African continent. And for those that follow the AFCON, it's a really, really great competition. It has given some great displays so far. So for those that don't watch it, you should go ahead and watch it. And for those that do watch it, they know. But again, we'll be focusing on Premier League match day 18 and Serie A match day 17. We're going to start, like always, with a Premier League. A Premier League. Top league. Don't matter what anybody says. Top league. Competition all over the place. Always. Every time. But this league, this match day 18 is open on Friday. Last Friday. With a Manchester United against a Newcastle. A Manchester United that won 1-0. A Manchester United that saw a goal from Dorgu in the 52nd minute. A Manchester United that secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Newcastle United at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. That's another thing. Boxing Day. Amazing. It's just crazy to think about this, you know, that fact that they give you football right after a break and they call it Boxing Day. It's a great propaganda, if you ask me. Great marketing way. Boxing Day. You know, after you unbox your gifts, the next day, Boxing Day. But you get football for those football fans. So it's a great marketing strategy, I will say so. And it's been working so far for all these years. So, you know, for Manchester United, it was a great Boxing Day. So they took a win against Newcastle. A Newcastle that lose as a visitor. And this win was tactical triumph for manager Ruben Amorim, who was forced to field a depleted side, missing several key players, including Captain Bruno Fernandes and some players that, you know, had to go for the AFCON tournament. This was a tight tactical match with United edging it through a single decisive moment. Newcastle control faces Bolak penetration. United defended deep in the final 20 minutes, and United's win keeps them in the European race. And Newcastle winless run extends to 3, and Manchester United that is in the 6th place, and Newcastle that is in the 14th place. And Amorim discussed player contracts and potential January transfers activity at Manchester United. But in reality, on my opinion, watching this team and seeing who they have on the bench and on the field, Man United might need specific type of player with specific characteristics. Why do I say that? Because they do have the talent, but Amorim has to be able to get the best out of the players that he currently has on his squad. Will he be able to do that, or will he rather go and seek other elsewhere for that specific characteristic talented player? It's not gonna be something so easy to do. But listen, I mean, you know, big clubs attract big names, and big names want to come to big clubs. So, yes, you know, I mean big names is talented players, players that make a difference on the field, either defending, playing offensive, creating, or just making the difference in the field overall. But I'm Manchester United that if they're gonna be looking for players, it needs to be a specific characteristic, but not any random player just to fill the spot. There's many talent in the Man United squad, but how can Amorim get the best out of them so he doesn't have to reach in the market and probably spend a beautiful penny on these players? But you know, sometimes when you don't see solutions in your squad, you have to go and spend a couple to see if, you know, that makes a difference. But will Amorim and Manchester United be willing to let go of some players and bring new talent? That's also another question that rises. But Manchester United win against Newcastle in a really tight game, and the only goal from Dorgu. Dorgu scored a nice volley. The posture, the contact on the ball, everything had to be perfect. Mostly the posture and the composure of his body had to be the right way to strike that ball the way he did. And Man United walk away with a win, and they get themselves in the 6th place. Then we have a Nottingham Forest against a Manchester City. A Manchester City that wins 2-1 as visitors. A Forest that saw a goal from Hutchinson in minute 54. A Manchester City that saw goals from Reinders in the minute 48th and Cherky in minute 83. After the goalless first half, featuring 0 shots on target, the game burst into life just after the interval. City took the lead early in the second half, but Forest, now managed by Sean Dyche, showed immense grit to level the score before a late piece of brilliance from Turkey and settled the Turkey that settled the contest. City controlled the match early and converted their chances. Forest rallied. They tried. Forest did try. Forest did rally, and they rallied late, but they couldn't find an equalizer. The victory briefly moved Manchester City to the top of the Premier League again, in second place with 40 points. Though they ended the weekend in second place following Arsenal's late win over Brighton, City briefly moved top while Forest remained just above the relegation zone. And Forest, that is in the 17th place, and Man City, that is in the second place. And Riot Turkey is showing up for this Manchester City, being effective on the play creation and on the goal threat. And I just want to see, and I question, can Pep get the defensive side out of Turkey? Can he make him work defensively? Or will he just let him stick to his natural habitat of being offensive? That's a question that I see, and I little by little you can see that he might get the works out of Turkey to contribute a little bit more defensively, but Turkey is purely offensive. And in today's football, again, I said this before, in today's football, it's really, really hard to have 11 players and they all are athletes. There's no more of that raw talent where that number 10 moves with freedom and slow through the field. And in this situation, we can see that Pep is allowing that from Turkey. He's allowing to do that. But when he loses the ball, not that he loses the ball though, because he rarely loses the ball, but when he loses the ball, the few times he has lost the ball, Guardiola has and makes gestures. I mean, yes, you don't want to lose the ball in general, but Pep knows that this player is an offensive player. He will only do his best offensively. Will he contribute defensively? We will see. He's only match day 18. There's still another 18 matches to go. There's still more. There's half of the season left. So I want to see this develop. I want to see how Turkey already fits into Pep Guardiola's starting 11. But I want to see how this player develops as the season goes in this squad, and what tweaks does Pep have to do to let him play with the freedom that he has been playing so far. Manchester City win 2-1 against Nottingham Forest. Manchester City that were visitors. A goal that came from Reinders in the 48th minute, and Turkey closed the deal in the 83rd minute. Moving on, we have an Arsenal against a Brighton. An Arsenal that sees goals from Odegaard in minute 14 and an own goal from Ruder in 52nd minute, and a goal from Brighton by Gomez in the 64th minute. An Arsenal that wins 2-1 against Brighton. An Arsenal that wins at home. The Gunners started with intent, registering 15 shots in one-sided first half. Martin Odegaard opened the scoring with the first goal of the season. A precise low drill shot from the edge of the area after being set up by Bukayo Saka. While they doubled their lead early in the second period, a lapse of concentration allowed Brighton back into the game, leading into a very nervy finish that required heroics from David Raya in the closing stages. David Raya, in this game, just know that he producing a crazy and amazing save. Fingertips, nothing else. Pure reaction. The slightest touch, amazing save. David Raya produced a world-class fingertip save to deny Brighton. And Arsenal controlled most phases and created the better chances. Brighton threatened late but couldn't equalize. And Arsenal that is in first place, and Brighton that is 13th place. So now that we spoke about Manchester City and Arsenal, if Manchester City keep playing before Arsenal on the weekends, fans of each team are going to start having small heart attacks. Why do I say this? Because Manchester City might go first. If they play earlier than Arsenal, Manchester City might go first on the table. Then Manchester City fans are going to want Arsenal to lose. And the other hand of this is, if Arsenal play before Manchester City and they lose that one game, pressure is going to be on Manchester City. Why? Because Manchester City fans are going to want them to win. And when pressure is on you like that, they might say, we don't feel it, we don't see it, we don't hear it. And that's when you crack. So if Manchester City plays first, they go top of the table, pressure's on Arsenal to win. They might lose on that. And the other hand, Arsenal plays first, they lose, pressure's on Manchester City because they have to win to go top. So that's just a perspective to put out there and look at. But Arteta has provided new updates on Harvard's Gabriel Martinelli and Hincapié. They might be all actually to his disposal and all good. Harvard's is one of the players that we know that he still hasn't come back. But we've seen that some of these players are already back, but sometimes, they pick small problems, muscle injuries. But Harvard's is one of the most focused players you can say from these names that still is not 100% to be back. But this Arsenal team keeps picking up, small wins within their squad to get their players back in the team to get the best team they can put together. And Arsenal that wins 2-1 against Brighton. And Odegaard that's back on the scoring sheet. The captain of Arsenal is back. Then after that, we have a Brentford against a Bournemouth. A Brentford against a Bournemouth. A Brentford that wins 4-1 against Bournemouth. A Brentford that sees goals from Shade. He scored a hat-trick. The first one came in the 7th minute, then the next one in the 51st minute, and then the last goal for Shade came in the 90th +6 in the complementary time. And an own goal from Petrovic in minute 39. And for Bournemouth, we saw a goal from Semedo. Semedo, who is, believe it or not, a great player and a talking point, because we're leading up to the transfer window. And again, there's 3 teams that are focused on him and want him. Liverpool, Man City, and Manchester United. 3 teams. Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United. Do they actually need him? In my opinion, I don't think so. But when you have income to play with, to each his own. But in this Brentford against Bournemouth, Brentford wins 4-1. Hat-trick from Shade. And the Bees dominated the first half, taking advantage of the sluggish Bournemouth. Shade opened the scoring early in minute 7, and the stroke of luck doubled the lead before the break. Brentford keeper Gallagher made series of vital saves in the second half, most notably reacting reacting to stab to deny Emma Linson from 6 yards out of preserved a multi-goal lead. Brentford produced one of their best attacking performances of the season, and Bournemouth collapsed defensively after halftime. Brentford climbed into the mid-table, and Bournemouth defensive issues worsened. Brentford is in the 8th place, and Bournemouth is in the 15th place. So Brentford was all over. They played well, more tactically in general, but also goalkeeper was somebody to look at because he kept them, at least to a low amount of goals against. But after that, we have a Burnley against an Everton. A game that ended up 0-0, tied. While the results extended Burnley's winless streak to 9 matches, both managers found positives in the game, defined by missed opportunities and a lack of clinical finishing. In a classic game of 2 halves, the first period was cautious, goalless affair with 0 shots on target for either side. The match ignited in the second half, but Burnley dominating possession and shot volume. Cagey match with few clear chances. Everton created their better opportunities but couldn't convert, and Burnley earned a valuable point. Everton frustrated after missing 2 big chances, and Burnley that is in the 19th place and Everton that is in the 12th place. These 2 teams go tied. Each one takes a point. One is more in a harder, position than the other, but sometimes you just gotta walk away with a tie, no? And this is what happens in this game. But Burnley need to start picking up wins so they can get out of that relegation zone. Then after that, we have a Liverpool against Wolves. A Liverpool that wins at home 2-1 against Wolves. A Liverpool that saw goals from Gravenberch in the minute 41st, and then Wirtz in minute 42nd, and Wolves saw a goal from Bueno in minute 51st. After dominating but initially frustrated first half, Liverpool broke the deadlock with a quick fire double in just 89 seconds before the interval. Wolves, who remain winless this season, fought back early in the second half, leading to a tense and nervy finish that required late defensive heroics from the host. Liverpool dominated possession and chance creation, and Wolves countered well but couldn't hold the draw. Liverpool keep pace with City and Arsenal, and Wolves remain inconsistent. Liverpool that is in the 4th place, and Wolves that is in the 20th place. And one player to talk about, because yes, we have been talking about since the beginning of the season and trying to see if his price was justified, is Wirtz. He's now getting his cooling towel, you could say. Got his first assist against Tottenham, and now he scores his first goal after 18 matches in the Premier League. You could technically say after 17 because he scored in the 18th match in the Premier League. But you can say that he is not on the magnifying glass as much. He's still in that loop, in that glass, but not in the middle of it. He's not the main focus, but he still needs to produce more. He still needs to get himself more comfortable, more in rhythm. And on the other hand, you have Wolves that they gotta keep pushing. They fought, but the fight was not enough. And many times it will take more than just the fight to get the 3 points, or at least a tie. They have to keep pushing. It's not easy. It sounds easy. It's not easy. It's a team sport. It requires 11 and whoever is willing to come from the bench to change things in the field. Yes, it sounds easy, and it's not easy at all. And again, I will say this again: are they still in this? Is each one of these players still in this mentally? Because physically, yes, they are there, but if you're not mentally in it, you're not going to be or give the best version of yourself. So are they mentally in it? Are they still finding hope and still pushing in a way that helps them and makes them feel like we are going somewhere? We're fighting against the big ones and we are taking shots at them, but we're not making those shots woundful enough to create some type of ripple. So Wolves just gotta keep pushing. Sometimes the fight is not enough, and many times it will take something more than just a fight to at least walk with a tie or get 3 points. And they are there, but they need to tweak small things, like being a little bit more defensively resilient, closing gaps a little bit more faster, and being clinical at times. These are just things that I say in general, looking at this Wolves team, but there might be something more deeper going on in their squad, in their management. So they just gotta keep pushing, and they're not in a great position, and this just adds to a tally to a bad record that I said last week, and this just adds to it. So where's this Wolves team going? Only they know, and the fans need to question and find answers. Then after that, we have a West Ham against a Fulham that wins as visitors. And so goal through Jimenez in minute 85th. This game was a balanced but KG London derby that appeared to be heading for a goalless draw. West Ham created several high quality chances, particularly in the second half, but were undone by poor finishing and the late defensive lapse that allowed Raul Jimenez to continue his prolific record against them. And Fulham executed a disciplined away performance. West Ham lacked the creativity in the final third, and Fulham climbing to the top half of the table, and West Ham's slump deepens. West Ham that is in the 18th place, and Fulham that is in the 10th place. Then after that, we have a Chelsea against an Aston Villa. For me, this was the game of the weekend. For me. Everybody else might have their opinion or say otherwise. But a Chelsea that loses at home against an Aston Villa, that wins as visitors 2-1. A Chelsea that saw goal from Pedro in minute 37, and Aston Villa that saw 2 goals, a brace from Watkins, Ollie Watkins in minute 63rd and minute 84th. The game was a classic tale of two halves. Chelsea dominated the first 45 minutes, enjoying 71% possession and taking a deserved lead. However, Unai Emery's tactical master stroke, a triple substitution in the 58th minute, completely flipped the momentum, allowing Willian to punish Chelsea wasteful finishing. With this side struggling, Unai Emery introduced Ollie Watkins, Jadon Sancho, and Amadou Onana. The impact was almost immediate. This change opened the offensive attack for Villa, and Chelsea paid for not being clean on their chances. Villa were more clinical. Chelsea dominated possession but lacked end product. Again, I'm emphasizing that Chelsea had this, but they just kept lacking at the end, the final third. They just couldn't be as clinical. And Villa strengthened their European ambitions. Chelsea turbulent season continues. Villa that has 2 men that I see that stand up every time. If it's not Rodgers, it's who we saw in this game, Ollie Watkins. Rodgers didn't have much in this game, but Ollie just came in and he said, you know what? Let me take the baggage. I'll carry this. And even Mary praised Watkins because he said that he's a tactical genius, playing against the Chelsea defense and how to open the fields for him to find his opportunities. And I believe this Aston Villa has worked as a team. They have turned things into not only a team but more like a family, because they went from being in the bottom of the table at the beginning to not looking so competitive. And Emery did a couple tweaks or introduced energy into the locker room, and these players just rose, and now they are fighting in the top three. They are competing in the top three. And a Villa that has multiple weapons, if it's not men on the field, I believe that players like Watkins might come in, Onana or Jadon Sancho, that you just need that small sacrifice from them to start a little bit beyond the half to open the field. And Villa are running in the state top three, and Chelsea that is showing consistency at the moment, they go fifth, and Villa stays third. Chelsea that has an average age in their squad of 23 to almost 24 years old. Some say that this is the reason why the team is inconsistent. Yes, that could be because experience brings so much more than just athleticism and person knowledge. To a degree, yes, Chelsea team has really young squad, and at the same time, the owner has to do better with bringing lasting talent and making it shine, not making it Chelsea just a passage club. So what do I mean by that? We know, and for all of those that follow this sport, we know and we see that Chelsea has acquired so many players. Small talent that the owner finds boldly, he goes and tries to acquire that player. You cannot be doing that. You have to be very preserved on the type of talent you need. You need to win. You need titles. That's what keeps the fan base happy. Winning titles, competing, showing that you're competing. But yes, this Chelsea team is competing this year, but it's just inconsistent. They have a lot of talent, but not much with experience. It's mostly talent that is athletic and has present knowledge of the game. But if you had somebody that had experience, somebody who was directing that defense with more experience, or that midfield with more experience, this Chelsea team could be something else. And that's just a theory, something theoretical to look at. But in my opinion, I think that it could change if they have players of more experience. It's a young squad, yes. They are very athletic. They have a lot of talent, but they don't have the experience of a player that has been playing longer. And for those that understand, they understand, to each his own. It's just how it is. And would they succeed? No doubt. They won the Club World Cup. But this is the thing about this league. It's long. It The league exposes the small fractures your team has. That's what these leagues are supposed to do. Who is able to compete in consistency and not find players missing due to injury or punishment, all these other things that might take your squad from being 100%. The leagues expose that. The leagues are able to expose what team is able to keep going and create rhythm with consistency. Two things that are very key in competing in leagues in football. But Chelsea, that is great. Yes, they won the World Cup again with a reason, for a reason. But this Premier League is showing that there's some lack of certain degree in this squad that is not letting this team be 100% at the level they could be. They have names of players that are so great, but they're all young. Great players, but they're all young. Will they succeed? No doubt. Right now, hard to say, but they will succeed. And Aston Villa, that stays top three, and they're competing. They're putting pressure on Man City. They're putting pressure on Arsenal. They are going at it. Then after that, we have a Sunderland against a Leeds United. A Sunderland against a Leeds United. A game that ended up tie 1-1. A Sunderland that sees a goal from Andingra in minute 28. And Leeds United that see another goal from Calvert-Lewin in minute 47. This guy has been on fire. Calvert-Lewin has been on fire. He's been showing off for Leeds. He has been showing up to make sure that he helps his team, or at least makes the difference on the field. While Sunderland sought to break into the top five, Leeds arrived riding a wave of momentum, and this has seen them climb significantly in the relegation out of the relegation zone, and a high stakes encounter at the Stadium of Light that showcased two of the Premier League's most improved sides. Sunderland entered the match severely depleted with 6 players that left for the AFCON, and a shift occurred in the 31st minute when Leeds defender Joe Rondon was forced off hamstring injury following a competitive match with both sides pushing for a winner. A draw was a fair outcome, and Sunderland continued to impress after a promotion. And Leeds remain mid-table, and Sunderland is in the 7th place, and Leeds is in the 16th place. Those are two teams that are showing up, and they have significantly made a high stakes encounter, because they have improved. These are the Premier League's most improved sides, and that's competition. Trying to just keep going, and they leave a level. It's not bad, but you want to walk away with the 3 points. You always want to walk away with the 3 points. And then lastly, we have a Crystal Palace against a Tottenham Hotspur. A Tottenham that won by 1 as visitors. A Tottenham that saw a goal from Gray on 42nd minute, his first goal in the Prem. Despite Palace commanding 62% of the possession, they couldn't find a breakthrough. Tottenham show a new side of their game, resilience and defensive grit to close out 2025. And with 3 points, the breakthrough for Tottenham arrived with a scrappy but vital passage of play. The scoreline could have been more emphatic, but Richarlison had 2 goals disallowed due to being offside from disallowed by VAR. The Eagles dominated the second half with Jean-Philippe Mateta and Justin Devine missing clear out chances. A Crystal Palace that has conceded more than 50% of their goals from set pieces. And Crystal Palace is in ninth place, and Tottenham is in 11th place. Now, question for this: where is this Tottenham standing in form? Does it still struggle to find form? Every game is different. You have to adapt, but you have to know your main strategy. You have to adapt to every game. Every game is different, but what's your main strategy? Then after that, you start tweaking pieces of certain players or areas you want to or you need to fix to adapt yourself to the opponent you're playing. But this Tottenham still seems to not find form and still struggles to find form. This weekend they win. Last weekend they lost. So how consistent can they be? How Will they get the wins they need to keep themselves relevant and competitive, at least to reach European spots? Because at the moment, they're not in European spots. They have been like this all season. They win 1-2 games, they tie or they lose the next one. They win one game, they lose the next one. They win one game, they tie or lose the next one. It's very inconsistent. The strategy is not very visible at the moment. Could the coaches still be making changes? It's possible, yes. Still finding your 11th, your starting 11th, but very inconsistent. Very inconsistent from this Tottenham. And on Crystal Palace, you see the midweek fatigue. This team, this past 2 weeks, there was not really any European football, but when Crystal Palace plays, you could see that. You could see that when they play European football and then they have to come into the weekend to play the Prem, there's some sort of fatigue and small rotations. And they have been finding themselves with struggles too, with poor form in some games. But when this Crystal Palace team has all the players already up to go, they are performing. They are performing. And even against the big clubs in this Premier League, they put up a fight. But Tottenham, the same could be said for Tottenham, but I lean more towards the inconsistent form because one week they win, then they lose, then they win, then they tie, then they lose, then they tie, then they win, then they lose. It's very inconsistent. There's no, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win. And then that game, they fought it. They end up, losing by one in the last few or, small errors. It's just consistent errors at times, not smart decisions. So there's inconsistency in general. That's how I see it. I follow this team. I am following this league. So every team could be judged on a different level, yes. But Tottenham has talent. That's the thing. They have talent. And the inconsistency is not helping them. Crystal Palace has talent. But you can see that they are trying to perform week in, week out. It's either the fatigue, small rotations. But there's not any consistent of errors like Tottenham. You can start breaking down each team when they come into every game, week in, week out. You can start breaking it down. How far will Tottenham get this season? They have to pick more rhythm, be more secure within their strategy of game execution to make sure that they are doing what the coach wants them to do on the field and to make sure those errors do not happen. But this is all for the Prem. We are moving on to Serie A. Serie A is in match day 17. La Serie A está en la jornada 17. Ahora nos vamos a mover a hacer el resumen y análisis de la Serie A que está en la jornada 17. Primer partido comienza con un Parma contra un Fiorentina. Un Parma que gana 1-0. Un Parma que ve gol de Sorensen en el minuto 48. La Fiorentina controla la posición con 59% de posición y tuvo más llegadas claras a través de Moises Kean y Gudmundsson. Pero le falta puntería y la sólida defensa del Parma impidieron que salieran del sótano de la liga. El Parma planteó un partido muy disciplinado y aprovechó una jugada de balón parado. Un Fiorentina tuvo más posición pero sin profundidad. Un Parma mantiene su fortaleza en casa y un Fiorentina que sigue con problemas ofensivos. Ahora sí se puede decir. Esta Fiorentina lo que está pasando son problemas ofensivos. Sí, a veces se podían decir en algunos partidos, pero ya es un poco más definitivo. Ya se ve que esta Fiorentina tiene decadencia en la delantera. Algo está sucediendo en la delantera que no le están saliendo las cosas bien para por lo menos competir con goles. Y si no pueden competir en equipo en sí, tienen a su delantera firme para que les ayude a recuperar eso. Pero no tienen ni eso para pararse firme. En un Parma que está en el puesto 15º y la Fiorentina que está de último en el puesto número 20. Después de eso tenemos un Lecce contra un Como que gana como visitante 3-0 y que ve goles de Nico Paz en el minuto 20, Ramón en el minuto 66 y Dubicas en el minuto 75. Tras 2 derrotas consecutivas ante el Inter y la Roma, los de Fábregas recuperan su mejor versión defensiva, manteniendo la portería a cero gracias a una gran actuación de Diego Carlos y Jacobo Ramón. El equipo local sufrió mucho las ausencias por la Copa Africana AFCON y perdiendo a piezas claves como Banda y Gaspar, la falta de profundidad y la expulsión de su técnico los dejó sin capacidad de reaccionar. En la media punta volvió a demostrar eh, que es la revelación de la liga. Además del gol con algo de fortuna por el desvío, que esto es Nico Paz, dirigió cada ataque del Como y registró su sexta asistencia en la temporada. Un Como que firma una actuación sobresaliente y transiciones rápidas, eficaz y control de ritmo. Y el Como sigue escalando posiciones y un Leche que cae más en la zona de descenso. Un Leche que está en el puesto 16º y un Como que está en el puesto sexto. Eh, Nico Paz, buen talento, muy buen jugador, viene del Madrid, viene de la cantera del Madrid, es un jugador con mucho talento y al que no le gusta, no le gusta, pero yo reconozco lo que es el juego. Si eres bueno, eso no te lo puedo quitar. Ahora, tú como persona, eso ya es otra cosa. Pero yo me enfoco en lo que es el fútbol, lo que tú puedes traer a la verde. Cuando te paras en ese cuadrado verde, ¿qué es lo que traes? En ese rectángulo cuadrado, como quieras llamarle, ¿qué es lo que traes? ¿Cómo vas tú a darme algo de diferencia? Marcar un poco de diferencia. Eso es lo que yo me fijo. Y creo que este es un buen jugador. Nico Paz creo que es un buen jugador. También creo que el Madrid lo va a pedir para atrás. No sé si esta temporada cuando se termine. Pero yo creo que el Madrid va a pedir a este jugador. Y este es otro, es un, es un centrocampista que creo es un poco natural. Hasta un nivel es natural. Juega en una posición de 10. Se mueve con un poco de libertad en el campo y crea. Fluye, el balón fluye con cuando él tiene el balón, el fútbol de él fluye cuando tiene el balón al pie y también el fútbol de su equipo fluye cuando el balón pasa por sus pies. Y es un jugador que marca diferencia, un jugador que ahorita lo estamos viendo que va creciendo, es su primer contrato ya en las grandes ligas, es un jugador argentino que vino de la cantera del Real Madrid y creo que va a traer algo a lo que es al campo, marcando diferencia, ayudando, queriendo con su talento para Argentina, si juega para Argentina y también para el Como. Y creo que el Madrid lo va a pedir para atrás también, porque es un jugador que salió de la cantera del Madrid. Pero Nico Paz marca diferencia y es un pilar para Fábregas y para este equipo del Como. Después de eso tenemos lo que es el Torino contra el Cagliari. Un Cagliari que gana 2-1 contra el Torino. Un Torino que pierde en casa. Un Torino que vio gol de Vlasic en el minuto 27. Y un Cagliari que ve gol por parte de Patri en el minuto 45. Y en el minuto 66 por medio de Kiliksoy. Ambos equipos llegaron un poco desarmados. El Torino extrañó a sus defensas Massina y Coco, que fueron también convocados para lo que es el torneo AFCON. Y mientras que Cagliari supo sobreponerse en las ausencias por la Copa de África y lesiones de jugadores claves como Belotti, el Torino dominó el balón, 56% de posición y generó 18 remates, pero la defensa de Cagliari liderada por un sólido Elia Carpiele, partido intenso, un Torino que empató, pero Cagliari fue más contundente en el tramo final, una victoria vital para Cagliari y un Torino que sigue mostrando fragilidad defensiva, un Torino que está en el 13º puesto y un Cagliari que está en el 14º puesto. Después de eso tenemos un Udinese contra un Lazio, un partido que termina empatado 1-1, un Udinese que vio gol por medio de Davis en el minuto 95, el minuto 90 más tiempo complementario, y un Lazio que vio un gol que fue anotado, un autogol por uno de los jugadores del Udinese, Soleta, en el minuto 80. Tras un partido muy cerrado, Matías Vecino disparó desde fuera de la área. El balón se desvió en el defensa Omar Solet. dejando sin opciones al portero al portero Daniel Padelli. En la última jugada del partido, el inglés Keenan Davis aprovechó un balón suelto en la área tras un centro desesperado, pero para fusilar. Un centro desesperado para fusilar a Provedel y desatar la locura en Udine. La polémica del VAR, el Lazio protestó airadamente un posible mano ofensiva de Mateo Palma en el inicio de la jugada del empate tras una larga revisión. El árbitro Andrea Colombo validó el gol considerando que el brazo estaba en posición natural. El Lazio dominó la posición, el Udinese respondió bien al contragolpe y el Lazio pierde puntos importantes en Udinese como está carácter en casa. Un Udinese que está en 11º y el Lazio que está en 8º. Después de eso tenemos el Pisa contra el Juventus. Un Juventus que gana como visitante por 2 por gol de promedio de Kalulu en el minuto 73 y Yildiz en el minuto 90 más tiempo complementario. Tras una segunda parte de dominio asfixiante, la resistencia del Pisa se rompió. Un centro peligroso terminó desviado por el defensa local Arturo Calabresi en su propia puerta. En el tiempo de descuento, el joven talento turco selló la victoria tras un rápido contraataque antes del descanso. Y el equipo local tuvo su oportunidad. Tuvo su oportunidad más clara en el cabezazo de Stefano Moreo, pero que se estrelló en el travesaño, lo que pudo haber cambiado el guión del encuentro. Una Juventus que controló el partido con madurez. Pisa resistió al inicio, pero no pudo sostener el ritmo. Un Juventus que sigue firme en puestos europeos. Un Pisa que sufre ante rivales de lo alto, de lo grande. Y un Pisa que está en el puesto 19º y una Juventus que está en el 5º puesto. Desde que Spalletti tomó a la Juventus, ahora lleva 8 partidos, 5 ganes, 2 empates y una derrota. Está recogiendo ritmo con 3 ganes consecutivos en la Serie A. Esta Juventus empieza a coger ritmo, algo que muchos estaban cuestionando porque estaban viendo que la Juve estaba decayendo en lo que es su fútbol, pero se puede decir que ahora está recogiendo ritmo y está empezando a marcar diferencia. Después de eso tenemos lo que es un Milán contra un Verona. Un Milán contra un Verona. Un Milán que gana 3-0 contra un Verona. Un Milán que ve goles por medio de Pulisic en el minuto 45 más complementario en el primer tiempo y después un gol de parte de Nkunku en el segundo tiempo en el minuto 48 de penal y en el minuto 53 dominio absoluto del Milan, ritmo, amplitud y eficacia. El equipo dirigido por Massimiliano Allegri dominó el partido de principio a fin, mostrando una gran solidez defensiva y mucha efectividad en ataque. Destacó especialmente la conexión entre los veteranos como Modric y Rabiot con la velocidad de Nkunku y Pulisic, quienes fueron las figuras del encuentro. El ataque de Milán luce renovado. Un Verona que se hunde en la zona baja y un Milán que está en el segundo puesto y un Verona que está en el puesto 18º. El estadounidense ya suma 50 contribuciones de gol en Serie A desde su llegada a Milán. Pulisic, que esto es fuera de tema. En las redes sociales y en las noticias se anda diciendo que él está saliendo con Sydney Whitney, como se llame la mujer. Y entiendo. Eso ya son opiniones de la vida personal de él. Y si no son verdad, no son verdad. Y si son verdad, pues eso ya es problema de él. Y entiendo cómo reacciona, pero este es un buen jugador. Que podemos ver 50 contribuciones de gol en la Serie A desde que ha llegado. Volvemos otra vez al fútbol. Eso es una nota al lado. Después tenemos un Cremonese contra un Napoli. Un Cremonese contra un Napoli. Un Napoli que gana como visitante 2-0. Un Napoli que ve goles de Højlund en el minuto 13 y en el minuto 45. El equipo de Antonio Conte impuso su jerarquía desde el inicio con un sistema 3-4-2-1 muy ordenado. Aunque la posición fue relevante equilibrada, el Napoli fue mucho más agresivo, registrando 22 remates frente a solo 6 del Cremonese. La figura absoluta del partido fue el delantero danés Rasmus Højlund, quien resolvió el encuentro en la primera mitad. El Napoli impuso su calidad y controló el partido sin sobresaltos. El Napoli siguió sólido en la lucha por el título y Højlund se convierte en la figura del momento. Un Cremonese que está en 13º puesto y un Napoli que está en el tercer puesto. Después de eso tenemos un Bologna contra un Sassuolo, que terminó empatado 1-1. Un Bologna que ve gol de Fabián en el minuto 47 y un Sassuolo que ve gol de Mojaramovic en el minuto 63. El Bologna tuvo el control, cerca del 58% de posición y más llegadas, pero le faltó puntería. Un Sassuolo que por su parte tuvo una oportunidad de otro tras un error defensivo de Lukumi. Los porteros fueron importantes. Ravaglia del Bologna hizo paradas claves a Pinamonti, mientras que Muric del Sassuolo estuvo sólido para evitar la derrota de visitante. Partido equilibrado con ocasiones claras para ambos. Y el Sassuolo empató en la recta final. Un Bologna que encadena 4 partidos sin ganar en la Serie A. Y complicado su lucha por el top 4 y un Sassuolo que mejora defensivamente, un Bologna que está en el 7º lugar y un Sassuolo que está en el 9º lugar. Después tenemos un Atalanta contra un Inter. Un Atalanta que pierde en casa por lo mínimo, un Inter que gana 1-0. Un Inter que gana por medio de gol de Lautaro Martínez en el minuto 65. El Inter supo sufrir ante Atalanta, que fue muy agresiva, logrando su séptima portería a 0. Ya llevan 7 partidos manteniendo su portería a 0 de la temporada. En la primera mitad, minuto 35, el VAR le anuló un gol a Marcos Thuram por fuera de juego, manteniendo el empate hasta el descanso. El Toro decidió el encuentro con un zurdazo desde el centro de la área tras una asistencia del joven Francesco Pio Esposito. Duelo táctico y cerrado. El Inter golpeó en el momento justo y Inter sigue en la pelea por título. Un Atalanta que careció de eficacia y un Atalanta que está en el 10º lugar y un Inter que está en el primer lugar. Pero ya este es el último partido. El último partido que tenemos ahora es el del Roma contra el Genova. Un Roma que gana 3-1 contra el Genova en casa. Un Roma que gana en casa. Un Roma que ve goles de Zule en el minuto 14. Gol de Kone en el minuto 19. Y un gol de Ferguson en el minuto 31. Y el Genova que ve gol de Ekator en el minuto 87. De Rossi regresó al Olímpico como técnico rival. La Roma resolvió partido en apenas 17 minutos con un arranque demoledor que dejó sin respuesta al equipo de Rossi en su regreso al Olímpico. Roma fue muy superior en el primer tiempo, presionando alto y siendo extremadamente eficaz. En la segunda parte, el equipo de Gasperini administró la ventaja sin sufrir. Un Genoa que mostró orgullo, pero nunca puso realmente en peligro el resultado. La Roma supera a la Juventus y se coloca en cuarto en la tabla. Y una tercera derrota consecutiva para el Genoa de Rossi, un Genoa que sigue cerca del descenso. En Roma está en cuarto y la Genova está en el 17º puesto. Eso es todo por la Serie A. Esto es todo lo que tenemos por este fin de semana. Este fin de semana viene el año nuevo para esos que celebran el año nuevo. Pero eso es todo por el día de hoy. Este fin de semana tendremos más fútbol. Ahorita el único torneo que tenemos es lo que es el AFCON, lo que es la Copa Africana. Y no hay liga. La liga regresa hasta en enero, que es este siguiente fin de semana que viene, después del año nuevo, para todos esos que celebran el año nuevo. Pero una Serie A que se ven cambios. Del primer a quinto puesto se ven cambios para todos esos que siguen la Serie A. Hay cambios entre esos puestos. Es una liga que todavía está muy, muy apretada. Y en lo que es la Premier, yo creo que Premier League está un poco apretada, pero empieza a crear lo que son grupos. grupos de equipos donde tienen que ellos pelear en esa área para poder salir de ahí. Y si les toca jugar con algunos de esos equipos, ellos tienen que confirmar que pueden conseguir el gane para salir o por lo menos escalar esos puestos. Pero ya la Serie A está un poco difícil. La Serie A encuentras top 4 que están un poco apretados, mientras que en la Premier encuentras top 3 que están un poco apretados, pero después de eso te das cuenta que el cuarto, quinto, séptimo, octavo, noveno están apretados. Después de décimo, décimo primero, décimo segundo, décimo tercero, hasta como el décimo sexto, están un poco apretados también. Entonces ya empiezan a crear lo que es grupos entre sí para que estos equipos empiezan a competir y escalar afuera de esos grupos para poder competir en lo que es las ligas en sí. Pero afirmamente creo que si esta Premier League sigue como va y los top 3 siguen haciendo como van haciendo y el Arsenal mantiene su ritmo y recupera algunos de sus jugadores, creo que el Arsenal se va con esto. Pero si el Arsenal no puede conseguir sus jugadores y mantener su ritmo, el City se la lleva. El City se la lleva, el City está empezando a recoger ritmo, está empezando a cliquear, a conectar. Y el Aston Villa creo que sí se lo puede llevar, pero va a ser muy difícil. Si el Aston Villa sigue como sigue y el Manchester City se tropieza una, dos veces y el Arsenal se tropieza una, dos veces, ahí sí. Pero esta Premier está bien apretada en lo que es los primeros tres. El cualquiera de esos tres que se tropiece, el siguiente es el que toma la batuta. Y en la Serie A está muy apretada. Esos tienen todos que estar alerta del que viene atrás porque si pierden o empatan, el que viene atrás sube para arriba. Empezamos a ver lo que es esto en estas ligas. Ya no se tomen de sorpresa que el que sigue estas ligas sabe y el que no sigue pues empiecen a ver el fútbol que les va a dar algo que ver y algo que sorprendente que puede suceder, pero yo creo que por ahora si se mantiene el Arsenal y recupera a sus jugadores hasta el fin de temporada, el Arsenal puede que se la lleve, pero con una vez que se tropiece, el City se la quita. Pero el City también tiene que mantener lo que es su forma y saber rotar sus jugadores, algo que han estado hecho muy bien hasta ahora. Pero el Aston Villa está ahí, tocando. Está tocando la puerta. Milán está segundo solo por un punto. El Inter Milán está en primero por un punto. Y el Napoli está en tercero por 2 puntos. Un punto bajo. Pero ya estas ligas empiezan a tomar forma. Ya empiezan a ver qué es lo que está sucediendo. Un Napoli que tiene 34, un Milán que tiene 35 y un Inter que tiene 36. Y una Roma que tiene 33. Y una Juventus que tiene 32. Del quinto puesto al primer puesto, las cosas están apretadas. Una Juventus que puede saltar de quinto a segundo si la Milán pierde. Si el Napoli pierde. Si el Roma pierde. Entonces ya empiezas a encontrar esto. Pero es algo que en el fútbol cualquier cosa puede suceder. A veces en 90 minutos, 15 segundos. Muchas cosas suceden en el campo, en el partido. Pero eso es todo por hoy. Muchas gracias para los que estaban aquí con nosotros hoy en día. Y para los que celebran lo que es el año nuevo, el año viejo, que tengan felices celebraciones y que la pasen muy bien. Muchas gracias para esos que están aquí conmigo compartiendo acerca del fútbol, un resumen y un análisis. Thank you for all of those that share with me their summary and analysis of today, which was the Premier League and la Serie A. And for those that celebrate the New Year's or the holidays lately, have great holidays and thank you for being with me. Esto es Pase Ambidiestro. Ambidextrous Pass. Fútbol honestamente. Soccer, football honestly. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.